I want us to look at the 3D or the 3D dimension triangle, okay? So what is important, how to do the 3D triangle. It's very simple if you understand what I'm going to explain now, okay? You solve it by looking first at the triangle, given triangle. Try to understand the question, okay? These two lines means they are equal. They say DC and the BD are equal. BC, okay, and the BD are equal. BD are equal, okay? Let's do this. So they say BD are equal. So if they are equal, let me do this so you can see it properly. So this is BD, okay? They are equal. So if they are equal in a triangle, the first thing you have to know that these two angles will be equal. These two angles will be equal, okay? The angle theta will be equal. So now if these angle thetas are equal, what will be the angle D? The angle D will be 180 minus 2 theta. Why? Because the sum of these two, all three angles in a triangle should give us 180. Or you can just do 180 minus this theta and then minus this theta, okay? So that will give us 2 theta. So now let's continue by doing this. We have now to look at the question, how do you solve a three-dimensional triangle? You have to identify first the triangle that is given to you. Here we have a right angle triangle, ADC, ADC, AD, the side AD represented by H. And then we have an angle that's made by the side DC and the AC, the angle alpha. So this is a right angle triangle. You solve it by using a trig ratio, trigonometry ratio, okay? And this triangle DBC, you solve this triangle by using what? Cosine rule and the sine rule. Now let's go to the question. We have a K, so we have to look for this side K, which is not in the right angle triangle. And we see it's equal to 2H. 2H is in which triangle? Right angle triangle. Okay, so now involve the angle alpha, which measured by the sine, the line what? DC and the AC. So meaning that we need DC and the H. Since here they say DC is equal to BD. So from this triangle, why we use DC in this triangle ADC? Because DC share two triangles. Is in the triangle D or BDC and also in the triangle ADC. Okay? So we have to use DC and the H. So what are we gonna do? H is the opposite to opposite side, and this is adjacent. So we'll use tangent alpha will give us opposite, which is H over DC. Therefore, H will be equal to, DC will be equal, we need H over tangent alpha. Now, let's use now this triangle to solve, to find the K. We can use cosine rule. Let's start by cosine rule, then we'll do sine rule. Cosine rule says BC squared, which is a K squared, will be equal to this side, which is a BD squared, plus this side, which is a DC squared, minus 2 times BD times DC, and then we'll put cos of the angle which is opposite to K, 180 minus 2 theta. Alright, now remember, if you remember, BD is equal to DC, so we'll have another DC here, okay? So we'll have a 2DC squared because we replace here by DC, and then here there is with another DC, so DC times DC will be DC squared. Now cos of 180 minus, it will be negative, since in the second quadrant cos is negative, so negative of this factor with this negative will be plus, therefore we have a cos 2 theta. So now we can say K squared. What is the common factor here? The common factor will be 2D 2C squared, and what will remain here? 1 minus plus cos 2 theta. Now we have to eliminate or remove this 1, okay? This number 1, or the value of 1 here. So what we'll do, we know that cos 2 theta has this formula, 2 cos squared theta minus 1, and 1 minus 2 sine squared theta, and the cos squared theta minus sine squared theta. Which one we're going to choose? You can sometimes pause the video and choose one, you put there, then you continue to see if you can get the correct answer. So we are going to use the first one, 2DC squared. We'll have a 1 plus 2 cos squared theta and minus 1, because minus 1 will be cancelled. So 1 minus 1 will be 0. So we have a K squared equal, what will remain here? 2 times 2 will be 4. DC squared will be multiplied by cos squared theta. Now, once we have that, this is what is going to happen. We have to look at now K. We need to find the K, because there we have a K squared. So the K will be square root of 4 DC squared cos squared theta. So this will give us what? Square root of 4 will be 2. DC squared will be DC. Cos squared will be cos theta. Alright. Now what will be K now? Instead of a DC, remember, DC is what? H divided by what? Tan alpha. That is our DC. Then we multiply by cos theta. Can you see the same answer? So that is our correct answer. So now let us try to use sine rule. We can use the sine rule from here now. You can pause the video and then try sine rule, okay? Pause the video, try the sine rule. Alright, now we can continue. I believe you try it, you get the correct answer. Now, what we'll do with the sine rule now, let me use another color of a sine rule. I don't know if this one will work. All right, green. Yeah, this one can work. Let's use tan. Sun rule. What will happen with sun rule? Sun rule, as we need to use k. We'll say k over sine of the opposite here. This is too bright. Sorry, it's too bright. We need let us go back to our red things. All right, let's go back to red. I'm sorry, this is too bright. Okay, so what is going to happen here? We say k, this side, okay? We are in this triangle D or BDC. So the side BC is opposite to this angle. So we say k over sine of 180, the angle 180 minus 2 theta. We close bracket. Then we have a DC. What is DC? Because we need to use DC, okay? Since we have a DC here, we say DC. This is opposite to this angle, so we say sine theta. So what is going to happen now? K, we cross multiply. This is a second quadrant. We have a DC multiply by sine 2 theta, because in a second quadrant sine is positive, all over sine theta. Now remember, sine 2 theta will be 2 sine theta cos theta, all over sine theta. So we can cancel these two. Can you see? Therefore, k, we start by 2. What is DC? There is our DC here. We represent DC by h over tangent theta alpha multiply by cos theta. So this is our final answer, which is the same. If you want to write it more beautiful, you'll say 2h cos theta divided by tan alpha. Yeah, so we use two methods or to solve this triangle, which is not the right isosceles triangle. Okay, we use a cosine rule and a sine rule. So this is how you solve a three-dimension a triangle. So we will come with more exercises next time. Thank you.